But first, another day, another big global warming scare. Frankly, another big global warming con, and the media just didn't question it at all. Just lapped it up, repeated claims of untold suffering without making the most basic checks of this complete bull.
More than 11,000 scientists from around the world have issued a warning today declaring a climate emergency and calling on leaders to make urgent changes to prevent the worst effects of environmental breakdown.
The scientists also call for 6 actions, including shifting to renewable energy and moving to plant-based diets.
Honestly, many journalists must think you're fools, or maybe they themselves are the fools. Now, I'm going to leave the funniest thing about this report to last, but one thing that few in the media thought to mention is that this so-called study was not peer-reviewed, and there's some very good reasons for that. First, check the authors. Not one of the 5 is a climate scientist. They include an expert on wolves, an expert on dingoes, a research associate, quite junior, an evolutionary ecologist and a trained physical chemist whose speciality now is environmental policy. In short, these people are activists, and their paper is not really a study. It's got no new research. It's a cut and paste job that cherry picks and tells half-truths to present the most catastrophic scenario to scare you into becoming vegetarians who'll stop travelling by plane. For instance, nowhere does this scary document mention that your chances of being killed in a climate catastrophe have actually fallen 99% over the past century. It doesn't mention that cyclones are rarer, crops are bigger, the world is getting greener, and your life expectancy is getting longer. To give you just one example of its dishonesty, again, something no one in the media has picked up, this paper says there are now more wildfires than ever in the United States since the 1960s. Global warming. In fact, go back to the 1920s and you'll see the US actually has less area now burnt by fires. And more importantly, you look worldwide and NASA says there have been a quarter less area burnt by bushfires over the last 2 decades. We're getting fewer fires, not more. But now, I promised you the joke. This is one of the co-authors, the dingo expert, Sydney University lecturer Thomas Newsome.
Over 11,000 scientists from over 150 countries agree and have supported our recent publication in Bioscience.
11,000 scientists, wow, and isn't that the media, the line that the media's picked up on? 11,000 scientists, surely all those climate scientists, they couldn't all be wrong, could they? But that figure, friends, is garbage. And it says something about how shoddy this study is that it can make such a claim, and it says something even worse about the media today, that it repeated this figure, repeated it without question. In fact, more than 2,500 of those signatories are just students or researchers or people who say they've retired, because these 11,000 alleged scientists are actually just people who signed an online petition with apparently next to no checking if they really were scientists, or if they were scientists that had an expertise, any expertise at all in global warming. For instance, one of the people who signed it is Mickey Mouse, professor of the Mickey Mouse Institute for the Blind. Now, if you think, that's just a cheap gotcha, well, check through just the A's in this list. And you'll find that the people signing it include a lecturer in social work, misspelled, students, of course, a professor of political science, psychologists, nothing to do with global warming, a zookeeper, a research fellow from the James Cook University here in Australia that sacked Professor Peter Ridd for questioning global warming scaremongers. There's a sociologist, a professor of obstetrics of all things, a paleontologist, and so on. Further down the list, I've also found a developer, can you believe it, plus vets, engineers, librarians, and a professor of theology. Well, as I've said, this is really a religion. 11,000 scientists? Absolute nonsense. And so many media outlets just bought it. And here's the message. the media, the mainstream parts of it. It will tell you any rubbish that fits the preferred narrative today, that global warming is threatening the world and could kill your children. Panic. There are no checks, and you watch. Tomorrow, there won't be any apologies either for leading you so astray.